Canada has a new millionaire, and his name is Omar Khadr.
Did he win the lottery?
Oh, fuck no. Well, yeah, actually he did. He won the Social Justice Warrior lottery. He was the ultimate victim and got $10.5 million. He's already been paid out.
So did he sue the Canadian government? Is that how he got it, or what?
He started to sue.
Uh-huh.
It didn't go to court.
Oh, and then they...
And the Liberal government, the Liberal federal government said, "Oh, we feel sorry for you. You're a victim."
So when I did the due diligence on this story, I read it from like so many different angles, and this is what I'm confused about.
Oh, it is everywhere in Canada right now.
Depending on the story that you read, he went over to Afghanistan when he was 15, or he was forced by his father when he was 9 to go over to Afghanistan. He threw a grenade at a group of soldiers,
or he
killing
doesn't
one,
remember throwing a grenade,
or he doesn't remember throwing a grenade, or his house was invaded and he had to defend himself, killing a soldier, or he took out up arms and killed a United States soldier, or he. This is what I mean. Like, what's the real story? There is no real story because there's so many different. Everybody's, this is fact. Get the facts. Know the facts. Who knows what is the fact?
Yeah. And that's the thing. Is like he ended up spending a lot of time in Gitmo. Thank you. Gitmo. He's ended up spending a lot of time in Gitmo because he was a prisoner of war. Now, technically, he was, according to the UN, if you're between 15 and 18, there's a real gray area about whether or not you are allowed to actively be involved in wars. They say you're supposed to make the governments are supposed to make every reasonable account to try to avoid involving people under the age of 18 and above 15 involved in wars. So they're not supposed to, but if they do, they're allowed to. They're allowed to volunteer.
I just want to know why we paid him $10 million. Like, that's all. I just want to know, like, why the government used my money to pay this man.
Because
we treated him badly?
We didn't treat him badly at all.
Or somebody treated him badly?
The Americans did.
And they treated him badly
But, okay, here's the thing. Depending on what your definition of badly is. Because, okay, he was tortured, and I use quotation marks here. Because sleep deprivation may be a form of torture.
If that's a form of torture, I'm going to sue my kids when they get money and be like, you guys tortured me.
Bingo.
You know?
As horrible as that sounds, it's true. Sleep deprivation is probably the least invasive form of torture, because it's not like he was waterboarded. It's not like somebody stuck bamboo shoots underneath his fingernails and popped them off. It's not like somebody put a nail to his penis and said, "Talk, or I'm going to drive it through there."
You're going to hurt. Ouch.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like this stuff was done to him. If all he had to deal with was sleep deprivation, consider yourself lucky.
Yeah, that's the first time I heard that what he had to deal with. I didn't know what he had to deal with.
Okay. Considering he was involved in a firefight.
I know that he didn't have any kind of trial. He was charged with a war crime.
No. He had a trial. He had a lawyer at Gitmo. Now, mind you, everybody considers all the trials at Gitmo a sham.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because I read that he didn't have one. That he took a plea before to be able to be extradited back to Canada.
There was a trial at Gitmo where he plead. You actually have to go to court to do the pleas. It's not like you just sit in your cell, I plea. You actually have to go before a judge or a magistrate and go, I plead, this, or, type thing. And here's the thing. Okay. He spent some time in Gitmo. He wanted out, so he pleaded guilty to killing a man and wounding another. He got extradited to Canada, and he didn't even serve an 8-year sentence. He was supposed to serve an 8-year sentence for this murder.
Can you really be charged with murder during war?
Well, here's the thing. It's like, if you are a combatant and if you are an enemy combatant, you cannot be charged with murder in a war. But he wasn't an enemy combatant, so
Because
he
then
is
he wouldn't he be
technically
charged
murder.
with treason, right? If he wasn't, because he's Canadian. So
Yeah.
if he was fighting for them, he could be a treasonist.
That's what he should be charged with. He should have been brought to Canada.
That's what
he
I
should have been
thought,
charged
yeah.
with treason.
Because if he's not a murderer because he killed somebody in war times because he was fighting against them,
If
then
he was
he's
an enemy combatant and he was
a
fighting,
treasonist. Because
Well-
he's Canadian and he went and fought for the other side.
exactly. But like even if you take away that sense of treason, if he was an active enemy combatant, he wasn't charged with being a combatant. He was charged with a
murder.
war crime because he committed. As a civilian, you're not supposed
You're
to
not
attack.
supposed to kill people. Yeah, you're not supposed to attack soldiers, right?
Right? Because if you do, you can be shot and killed.
Yeah.
Or charged with murder. And that's what happened to him. He was charged with murder, and he pleaded guilty to murder. Right? And if it was just so he can get out of Gitmo into Canada, well, he lied. He lied to a judge.
And that's an offense right there.
Right there, it's an offense. But you're right.
So
If he's fighting for the other side against America,
allies,
which is an
yeah,
ally
of
of Canada,
That's
he is
treason.
against us.
Yeah.
He should be charged with treason. This is one thing that I'm starting to wonder why. It's like, why are people not being
seeing
charged with treason?
yeah.
You know, all these terrorists that are being charged with
Terrorism
terrorism.
and
It's like, no.
acts of treason. It
They should be charged with
If you're a
treason.
citizen of a country and you commit an act of terror against your country, that's
Yeah.
treason. And isn't that like the highest level of offense that
Yep.
you can do against your own country?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cool Discussions. We have just solved the world's problems.
Yes.
These terrorists should just be charged with treason.
Yeah.
It's just all treason. You commit something against an act of violence or harm against your country or against people of your country, you should be charged with treason and put in jail forever. I don't even know the law.
Canada's criminal code says anyone who assists an enemy at war with Canada or any armed forces against whom Canadian forces are engaged in hostilities, whether or not a state of war exists between Canada and the country whose forces they are, is guilty of high treason which carries a life sentence.
Wow. See, I didn't even know that. And we just came to that conclusion having this discussion about this man who got $10 million for committing an act of treason or
Because
murder.
the Supreme Court stated that his rights were violated because Canada was supposed to step in and pull him out sooner. It's like, no, he was charged. He was lucky to get charged with only murder. The judge who sentenced him to the murder charge said he should face 40 years jail time, but they only gave him 8. He came to Canada in 2015 and didn't even spend 6 months in jail. He was out on bail. 2015. So that's 2 years ago. And he was in Gitmo in like 2008.
Wow. So this
Right?
man commits treason. See, this is what I'm confused about. Like, I'm all for human rights, and we have to stand up for. We have to, protect human rights. I get it. You know what I mean? But at what point do human rights?
But according to our glorious leader, Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian.
What exactly are our human rights, and who gave them to us?
Well, the Western nation gave human rights to
What
humans.
do you know what they are? Like, what are our, like?
A right to life, to food, shelter, healthcare.
Well, that's kind of an oxymoron. Would that be the right word, an oxymoron, to shelter and healthcare? Because, well, we're not guaranteed shelter as humans.
No,
'Cause
well,
if we can't afford it,
no. These are supposed to be basic human rights. Now, the homeless here, we do try to give them shelter, right? It is
that's
one of
a
those,
whole nother.
Yeah. But
That's
it
a
is
whole other
something-
show, ladies and gentlemen, right there.
It is something that is tried to be done. It's appalling that a guy who commits murder. Now, why are we doing this? Well, he didn't go to court. If the Conservatives had won, the Conservatives would have taken it to court. The Conservative government, when they were in power, tried to avoid bringing him to Canada. They fought the court, saying, we don't want him here. He's a terrorist. Right? The Liberal government, as soon as they got him, bam, just like that, he was out.
Wow.
And he didn't spend not even 6 months in jail here in Canada. He was out on bail. Right? And 2 years later, he gets $10 million. Right? For killing somebody. Now, I understand if he was falsely accused of something, and you have to pay reparations for lost
Yeah, there was part
life.
of...
But he admitted to it. He's on video of making home improvised explosive device, IEDs, which apparently have been responsible for 97 Canadian deaths in Afghanistan. Whether or not some of the ones he made were directly responsible, we don't know. But the fact that somebody who committed murder is now a millionaire, and all he wants to do is be treated normal. He wants to have a normal life. It's like, you know what? This is what you should do, Omar. That money you should give to the family and the victims, the wife and the child of the man that you killed, and the guy that you maimed. You should give them the money. Done. You give them the money, nobody's going to question your motives about trying to live a better life. But if you keep that money...
Yeah, he's going to keep it. You know that. He's going to keep it. He's going to go into solitude. He's going to hide, and he's going to... and we're all going to forget about him in 3 months because there's going to be some new...
They better. The Conservative government better drop this as a reminder every time they have a chance. It's like going into 2019, the federal election. It's like, remember, your Liberal government gave $10 million to a killer.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. If you were openly, if you openly admitted that you've killed somebody, and then your human rights are to me in my mind are voided. You know what I mean? Okay, if you're in war, so one of two ways: this man is a murderer, or he's committed treason against Canada. So you choose. He's done something bad. He's a criminal, and now he's a millionaire because
he killed an American soldier.
Rights. What?
It's like, whose rights trumps whose? Because guess what? We have a child that is fatherless. We have a wife that is widowed. We have another soldier who is blind because of this guy.
And this family has to live this over and over because this person keeps coming up in the news.
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is horrible.
And the whole shadiness in which this all happened was, it was announced it's been in the news for 3 days, just basically the day after Canada Day, that it was announced that, this guy's getting money. And then apparently on the next day or the day after that, it was he already has the money. Never seen a government move so quick. Yeah, ever. Government never moves that quick when it comes to anything. The Conservative government, I wish they were in, because they would have fought this. I read a post somewhere about people going off about this, and somebody tried to defend it by saying a lot of that money has to go to lawyers. So? And I went, I don't give a fuck. And that's the thing. Like when I started off, and this is why lawyers get a bad name. This is part of the reason why. Because lawyers, why would any lawyer? Yeah, why would any lawyer take this case on and be like, your human rights are violated? No, you turd. Man, these people should be left to defend themselves. Man, I don't understand it, because there's so many different facts. In quotations. Who to believe. Who to believe, and that's the problem, is who to believe. The only person who truly knows what's happening is this man who we just gave $10 million to. You know what I mean? And he's not going to tell us the truth. There's never going to be, what truth is he going to tell now? Which truth is he going to tell now? It's more a matter of, okay, if he tells us the truth, we may not believe him, or he's not going to tell us the truth, and we're still not going to believe them. So, in the grand scheme of things,
We just use our tax dollars. Next time you look at your paycheck and that says federal income tax, just think about that.
yeah,
Just think about where some of that went. It didn't go to healthcare. Didn't go into improving your life.
went to a killer.
It went to somebody who killed somebody. Or did he? Anyways, guys, let us know what you think about this whole thing. Let us know, in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like and that subscription button somewhere. Have yourselves a great day.
See ya.